Hello, thanks so much for joining me. I'm
Yeah.
Chantal and I am a hand-in-hand parenting certified instructor, as is Katy. We are a not-for-profit organization supporting everyone doing the vital and important work of raising children. And we just want to see everyone all over the world better supported in this important work that you do. So welcome, Katy. Would you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, sure. Hi everybody. I'm Katy Linsley. I'm a certified hand-in-hand instructor and I'm based in Lancaster in the north of England.
Awesome. So I'm in Sydney, Australia. So as I said, we are global, which is very exciting. How many children do you have, Katie?
I have two boys. My eldest is 14, my youngest is 11. But I feel like I have loads of children because I used to be a childminder. So using these hand-in-hand tools, I've used them with dozens of children, ranging from maybe 10 years old down to 9 months old.
Oh,
So yeah, it's a whole
lovely.
plethora of adopted little babies that I looked after.
Awesome. So yes, I've got a 12 and 15, so quite close in age. And so
Mm.
when did you certify with Hand in Hand?
I took the certification program in 1819 and then I certified at the end of 2019,
Okay, cool.
just
Yeah.
before the world went
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing because I actually always thought you were before me. So I was 2017. So that's yeah, you've done a
Oh, okay.
lot in your short time. Um, so Katie, what I'd love to know is what was your biggest challenge before you found Hand in Hand?
Yeah, there were a number of challenges. Um, I thought the biggest challenges were some of my children's behaviors. Like how do I deal with this behavior, and how do I deal with this behavior? Um, what I hadn't quite figured was that the biggest challenge was me and my behavior or my responses to their behavior, my kind of response to their behaviors. Um, so yeah, what I was finding was that, you know, my I definitely had this mindset of, oh, my children, it's my children, their behavior, when they do this and when they do that. And so I was really eager to I took parenting really seriously. I was also a childcare professional. So I was really about like supporting the child um and so I would go off and read, like at the time it was much more blogs, but then it was like other bits and books and things like that. Um, and I would hear things or read things and think, yes, that's what I'm going to do when my child does XYZ. That's what I'm going to do. And then I would sort of go to bed peaceful and think, yeah, I've got a plan. I know how this is going to go. Can see where this is going. And then we would be in the moment and they would do the same thing that they'd been doing, for in some cases years. It was behavior that had been going on for years and I was trying different tacks. And in the moment, my mind would just go and I would be doing the things that I didn't want to do, particularly around there were a couple of things that had been going on for years. And so my responses were becoming even more erratic and really like quite ashamed. Like I was quite ashamed of how I was behaving when my children were, bringing behavior to me. And so, yeah, how I was responding was a huge part of why, when I found out about Hand in Hand, the piece of supporting myself, the piece of looking back and going, why are you responding that way? And not just intellectually going, oh, right, yes, well, I'm doing that because of that. Actually having somebody with me in my listening partnership to hold the space and to allow those feelings to come up. Um, yeah, so that I could like laugh and cry and have my own tantrum and my own like having somebody hold the fears of what will my children be? How will my children live? Just having somebody hold that fear was just, I can feel it in my body now. I'm just like, oh, okay. And so, yeah, noticing then after having had that listening time with somebody, going back to the same situation I could remember how I wanted to
Mm.
interact with that situation. Yeah, there was one. Do I have time to tell a little story
Yeah,
about one in
go for it.
particular one? Yeah. So it was, one thing I was really struggling with was when I didn't know this, but when I was really scared about a situation, I would get really angry. I hadn't twigged that that was what was going on for me at all. But I basically just thought, I'm getting really angry. And so this was, I'd learned about the tools and I was sort of still experimenting, but, had learned a bit. And I had walked away.
Mm.
I'd got really angry, but I'd walked away. And my husband was there and he was, dealing with the situation, which wasn't nearly as heightened as I thought it was.
Mm.
And I went down to our like garage area and there was some old teddy bears that were not my children's. They were just part of my child minding resources. And I got this big lion and I ripped it from seam to seam, just absolutely. And I'd never done anything like that before. I was such a
Mm.
good girl. Just such a completely different experience for me. And I just ripped it apart and then just cried and cried and cried
Mm.
and cried and cried. And my husband, bless him, came down, didn't say anything. I think he'd been learning as well. Didn't say anything. Sort of put his arms around me. Said, "Would you like a cup of tea?" Because we're very English. Would you like a cup of tea? And I cried some more. Just his kindness at my anger, like that
Mm.
was really different. And
Mm.
and I genuinely don't think I have exploded the same
Mm.
from that. And it wasn't just that one moment because there was
Yeah.
a lot of listening that I had done
Mm.
up until that time as well, and a lot that I've done since. But yeah, just having the freedom to have my emotions and not be scared of them. I'd
Mm.
sort of carry my listening partners with me in that moment of, yeah, I'm allowed to be really angry here. This isn't hurting anyone else. I can be really angry. Yeah, and so yeah, biggest challenge was me. And the biggest sort of turnaround probably has been me as well.
Wow. Yeah. So for those who don't know our tools, listening partnerships
Mm-hmm.
is one of the 5 tools, and that's where you and another adult exchange an agreed upon amount of time to listen and be listened to without interruption, without judgment. The fundamental idea behind that is that we do have all of these answers, and there's no one better to work out our challenge and problem solve than us, but sometimes gunk gets in the way. So it's really helpful to have a safe space where you can pour that out and where it's not like you're going to be told what to do or have someone else relate their own experience. It's a real pure sort of um, outpouring and it can really uncover some deep wisdom. So um, thank you for demonstrating some really great ideas around that, even just in terms of the suggestions that you had for what you might work on in those sessions as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So I'd also love to know, what do you wish parents knew more about when it comes to connection-based parenting?
Yeah, the thing that I would love all parents to know, in fact, just all humans, whether or not they've had children, um, is just what connection is and how powerful it is. But really, that simplified, that crying is healing.
Mm.
I think the misconception that I had going into working with children and then having my own children was that crying was to be stopped
Mm.
as quickly as possible. That if a child was crying, there was something wrong.
Mm.
And when they stopped crying, it was all better. I think that was sort of the line that I had.
Mm.
Um, I think that many of us have.
Yeah.
And that I thought that my job as a parent was to stop my child's crying as quickly as possible.
Mm.
So I really wish that I had known, and I would love the world to know that when we cry, yeah, something is wrong. Something went wrong at some point. Doesn't, but not to be scared of
Mm.
that, but to just know that connection, being with someone while they are crying is healing for that
Mm.
person.
Yeah.
Because we'd all experienced, it's not like I hadn't experienced like feeling better after a cry,
Mm.
but I thought that if you stopped the crying quickly, you would feel better.
Mm.
not knowing that we need to be allowed, we need to have the space to cry.
Mm,
um yeah, I just, and the same for laughter, actually, of just the power of laughter, the healing of laughter, and the connection of laughter. You know,
mm,
like, again, my misconception was that the laughing was like, oh, it's nice, it's a bit of fun,
mm.
but come on, move on. Let's get down to it.
Yeah.
Rather than laughing, encouraging the laughing, making space for the laughing, knowing that the laughing is healing,
Mm,
and that, as a teacher, because I'm a teacher as well sometimes, as a teacher, that laughter will help my children's intelligence grow. It
mm,
will help them shift all the gunk that is making them feel nervous about whether they can do something, the frustration around not being able to do, all of that is sort of being shifted away.
mm.
And after the end of that, a child's intelligence, or our intelligence, will grow.
Yeah.
They'll be able to do the thing that they're laughing about not being able to do. So yeah, that's what I would love. I love the man in the car park. When I'm listening to a child crying, I would like him to know that this is healing.
Mm.
Really important work here. My child is healing. Like, for him to sort of give me the big thumbs up. Yeah, your kids are healing. They're so good. I'm so glad for you. Walk away.
Yeah.
And let me listen to my kids. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes, that would be great.
Message for the world.
Absolutely. And yeah, so as you said, it's about so yeah, crying on your own can be helpful if you understand what's going on for you. But I think this is where people get confused a lot too, is because, there are times that crying doesn't feel helpful, or that it does. I remember the most horrible thing someone said to me once was, "Oh, you need to calm down. You're going to ruin your milk." When I was upset about it. I thought to myself, well, okay, now I feel like I can't show my emotions. The feeling hasn't gone anywhere, but I'm feeling deep shame about it and fear now as well. But yeah, if you have someone who can listen to you, and that's when it comes to children as well. So having someone be there with you whilst you're crying and letting things out, it's a completely different thing to crying alone when you're confused and don't understand. And so that's our tool, Stay Listening. And it's a transformative tool, because first of all, you get to feel whatever you're feeling without any of the shame and the confusion and the fear. And that other person is there to help you with the healing and validate that, no, this is okay. There's no cause for alarm. You're feeling something, and that's all right, whatever that is. And I'll be with you through whatever you need to get out and work out around it. And so, yes, everyone needs to know that. Yes, so thank you. So yeah, I would love to also know. So you certified in 2019, and you've been doing so much since. Obviously, you've done some great articles for Hand in Hand, and you're definitely one of our go-tos when it comes to educators and helping professionals understand how to use these tools in the systems and I guess institutions where they are working with young people, which would be incredibly difficult. So thank you for all of that. I would love to know what does it mean to you being a hand certified instructor?
It's a really interesting question, that, like, what does it mean to be? Because there's an element of, um, I teach classes, I have individual clients, I have ongoing clients, I do work with educators sometimes, but all the work that I do, I often like to think of it as like I'm doing it for my family.
Mm,
Like, one of the things that comes up is, like, I'll teach a class and I'll be talking about stay listening, I'll be talking about setting limits, and I'll be going, yeah, yeah, need to do the stay listening, need to
mm,
set the limits. This is how I want to parent. Because the old way of parenting is sort of so ingrained in generations and generations before me. And this is so new. And whilst now it feels second nature, teaching keeps it really fresh. Keeps me going, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is why I do it. This is, so on a micro level, it's like, for my family, I do this so that I am living it and breathing it all the time. But then on like a local level, so I've been working for like 5-6 years, And so where I live here in Lancaster, many, many, many people know about parenting by connection. And so I feel like there's a community around me of like, I do sometimes see people stay listening, and I do, and so that feels like, oh, okay, I'm not just this tiny bit of flotsam, floating in the river. I'm like, there's more of us around. Like
Mm.
we're a big bunch. We're floating
Mm.
down a river. And then I just think of like hand in hand as this enormous sycamore tree where, you've got Patty and those who really sort of developed and sort of through experience figured this stuff out. And then these like hulking branches of some of the instructors who've been doing this for like decades.
Mm.
And then there's some like twigs, some of us who've been doing it for like 4 or 5, 6 years. But we all throw out these sycamore
Mm.
seeds and the wind takes them and we just don't know where they're going. And so
Mm.
for me, being part of this huge community of like sharing this stuff means I'm part of the solution,
Mm.
and I'm part of this, community spreading the word. And like in the bigger picture of what's going on globally, it feels really important to me to be
Yeah.
part of the solution, part of passing on connection,
Mm.
working together, healing together. That feels really, really important.
Mm.
So yeah, that's why I do it. That's why I do it,
Yeah.
because it counts as the other stuff. I
Yeah.
want to be part of the solution.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah, for all
And
those different areas, for my kids, you know. Um, and finally, I would say, because I worked, sorry, Chantel, one more thing. Because I worked with so many parents when I was looking after their children, there was an element of I can really help this child when I'm working
mm.
with them. If
Mm.
I work with their parents, that is going to be so much more powerful. Like there is
Mm.
nothing that the parents care more about than their parenting.
Mm.
And so supporting parents while they do that work, like it just feels like there is no more important work. To
Mm.
support parents while they are doing the most important job
Yeah.
is it just feels really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm. I love that. So that with
Lots
the
of
tree,
reasons.
that made me also think about our parent club community. So we have our own app, and in there we have a membership. There's a free membership, and then there's one that's just $24.99 US a month. And in there you'll find 24/7 moderation, and that's from really experienced instructors. And then you'll also have the community. And that's what I love is because I think you can learn a lot. Obviously, you'll learn heaps from Katy, Emily, but you also have all these people that are somewhere along this journey, and getting it fresh might be helpful. So we've been doing this for however many years now, and then having someone come with a new problem and then how they worked it out, or getting advice on how to work that out, is actually really helpful too. So you can learn from someone who is brand new, bright, sparkly eyes and ready to go, versus those people who have been doing it forever and still have that, the real nitty gritty of it all. And that's what I love, is that we're all learning always. Like, so you never stop learning. Obviously, our children reach
Mm-hmm.
different ages, and then different problems and things like that as well. And then having a community. So it's all about, I think, community and belonging. And obviously the name says it all, like hand in hand. We're doing this together. We're doing this hand in hand. We are one giant community that is uplifting each other and supporting each other, so that we can just keep raising these amazing human beings. And yeah, so I love to be part of that. And I thank you for everything that you do, and for joining me today. And if anyone is thinking
Yeah,
about
no problem.
diving deeper, we would love that for you. So we have a new sort of framework. I'm not going to go too deep into all of that, but you can just sort of say, okay, I'm ready to really take these tools to a different level. And then you can join us for our program in September. The application's open on the 1st of April. And then you can choose how soon you want to then become a certified instructor. So at the end of the training program, you can decide, okay, I'm ready to do that now, or you may want to take some time and do that later, and we'll support you whatever decision you make at the end of that extensive journey. And as Katy was saying, it's really about you, it's supporting you, it's uplifting you, and it's your family. So you get to really do all of this for your family or for the community that you work with. It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like study. It just feels like it's enriching um, how you use these tools in your life. So yes, thank you. And we hope
Yeah, you're
that you will
welcome.
join us and become part of this wonderful team. Thank you so much for being with me, Katy. I'll say
Yeah, thank you for everyone listening. Thanks.
thanks. Bye.